Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday. It's April the 7th, 2022. It's another Technical Alpha podcast. Getting myself finalized and settled in here. There we go. It's another Technical Alpha podcast. Glad you could all be here today. If it's your first time, thank you for stopping by. If it's not your first time, welcome back. Talking about video games, movies, television, literally anything at this stage of our lives, because we're just old men talking about shit. But I still categorize this on Apple iTunes under video games. That's where we're at. Welcome back. Again, Technical Alpha. Another week. Another beautiful one. But before we start, I have to ask a question to see if it is just another week. For one, Mr. Maximus Black. Mr. Maximus Black, how was your week?
What did I do this week? Nothing. Another week.
So it was another week then.
It's another week.
Very good. Very good. Well, just like it's another week there, it's another week here. We're working at the house. Stuff continues on. We did a lot of HVAC this week. So we finally got to a point where we were installing HVAC, like properly, not just the rigid, but the unit had been hung on the wall, and we started running hose interior of the house. Dad got the two exteriors, so the exhaust and the intake, put in before our winter adventure on Monday. So on Sunday he got those in while the sun was shining, and so those are in place. And so we've got that done. Although the HVAC isn't completed, it's downstairs. All of the ports on the unit have been populated at this point. So now we have a couple other runs to make. We just need to have Smitty's going to come over tomorrow. We have one of those the smoke alarms that are connected to the upstairs smoke alarms. It's right in a spot where we're running HVAC hose, and we got to figure out a way of moving that somewhere. And then once that's done, the rest of the hose can be run downstairs, and downstairs will be done for HVAC, other than boxing the hose in so that they're not just chilling up in the ceiling. I don't think Brian wants the industrial look downstairs, so we're going to put some boxes around those bad boys, make sure that they're all finished up. And then we get to move upstairs, which should be easier. Downstairs, because we're attaching things to the unit and we're in really cramped quarters, and there's 6-inch hose, and a lot of the hose are insulated, so they're actually 9-inch hose. It's just a bitch. You got nowhere to fucking work. You have to have, I thought about this when we started putting it in. I was looking at the unit on the wall, and it's not even a really big unit, because the house isn't that big, right? So it doesn't need to be one of these monstrous fucking HRVs. And I'm looking at all the hose running into it, and we're standing in a room that's about 8 by 8, somewhere in that neighborhood, 8 by 8, 8 by 9 feet, somewhere, something along those lines. And it basically chews up half the fucking room. So I'm in my mind now at this point, my God, modern HRV systems, you need to have your own 10 by 10, 10 by 12 room just to have a fucking HRV in it without taking up all the space. So it's going to be a little bit of a cramped situation when Brian's doing the laundry, but we'll figure it out. We'll make it all work. And so yeah, we focused on mostly that this week. We had done so much of the drywall earlier that we didn't have too much of that going on, mostly just the HRV. So anyway, it's coming along. And we're getting there. Once that's done, shit, what is it? The bathtub? And then it's finish work. Now we're talking about walls, paint, finishing drywall, painting, flooring, kitchen, cabinet installation, stuff like that. So all of that stuff's gonna feel like a vacation after all this other bullshit. Because we're gonna see the light at the end of the tunnel. And there's nothing particularly difficult about drywalling, painting, or I won't say it's not difficult to put IKEA cabinets together. We haven't done that yet. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But it will still probably feel like a vacation. So that's where we're at in that regard, which has been nice. And just kind of tripping away at it. But that's it. I didn't play as much Skyrim this week. I didn't get on the stream as much this week. But I do plan on getting back into that. I had an almost 6 days in a row. It was almost like real streaming again. Felt good. So I'll get back on that hopefully, if not tonight, back on the fun bus tomorrow. And that's it, which means it's time to move on to talk about some video game news, Mr. Black. And we actually have a bit of a banner week this week. We have things to talk about after 2 weeks of almost nothing. Some stuff decided to finally happen this week. So let's dive right in. The first one. It's an easy one. A pleasant surprise for many fans of the excellent Hyperlight Drifter. Hyperlight Breaker was announced this week, featuring a massive fully 3D world this time around, as well as online co-op. It's still have a bit of a wait, though, as it's scheduled for a open, meaning no specific month, given 2023 release. Hyperlight Drifter really took, I think that game even took over Twitch for like the variety streamers for a few weeks back in when that first released. Really pretty game, very well done, and hopefully they can follow that up with this, which clearly seems to be a much bigger outing than the previous. And I suspect that's because the last one did so well, they're even able to move on and do something bigger and better this time around. Unreal had their State of Unreal broadcast this week, which I guess everyone's just saying State of something now. And so we've got State of Unreal alongside Sony's State of Play. I'm waiting for the State of Xbox to appear in the not-too-distant future. But State of Unreal happened this week, showing off Unreal Engine 5, of course, and properly releasing it for the wider developer market. So we had known about Unreal Engine 5 to this point, and we even knew about some projects that had been already in the works using Unreal Engine 5, but this was like the proper, now developers can do the thing, release. In that, we got to see that Crystal Dynamics announced that the next Tomb Raider game will be built in Unreal Engine 5. And this actually brought about a bit of an interesting theory that somebody, I can't remember which publication I read this for, but it makes sense. We'll see if it makes sense to you. So Crystal Dynamics, as we know, other than being the Tomb Raider folks, we talked about this on the podcast when they released the last, I think it was the last Tomb Raider game, and it sold like millions of copies, which for a Tomb Raider game is pretty fucking good. But Square Enix, who was the publisher and still has Crystal Dynamics under them right now, publicly stated that they were disappointed in the sales of this game, which was insane. I think it sold like, I think it was something crazy. I think it was like 5 or 7 million copies, which is really fucking good for a single player Tomb Raider game in current year or whatever. And then they were so they were bashing Crystal Dynamics, and everyone thought that was quite weird. And then they moved on to, of course, eventually criticizing, although a little bit more rightfully so, the Avengers game that eventually got put out as well. So they have a bit of a weird, no pun intended, dynamic with their publisher currently, or their owner in Square Enix. But Crystal Dynamics, as of late, has also been working alongside of Microsoft. In fact, they're working with Microsoft's new fancy quadruple, quintuple, octagonal A developer, The Initiative, and helping them trying to, I guess at this point, after the news we got the other week, salvage the Perfect Dark development that's going on right now. And previously, I think it was the second of the Tomb Raider reboot games, so the sequel to the Tomb Raider reboot itself, was actually partially funded by Microsoft, and that's why it was a timed exclusive to Microsoft consoles at the time, if memory serves. So they've got a bit of a relationship that's gone on now for quite some time. And Square Enix clearly seems to not like Crystal Dynamics very much, and I don't know why they've held on to them this long, but they have. And so the thought process here is, now that they are using Unreal Engine 5 and not the proprietary engine that they were using under Square Enix before to make their games, and with all the stuff that they've been doing with Microsoft more recently and in the past, the thought process is that it's quite possible that Microsoft is going to acquire Crystal Dynamics and take it off the hands of Square Enix, who apparently think that Crystal Dynamics make shit video games, because every time they release one, all that Square Enix does is bitch and whine and moan about it. And so it kind of makes sense. What do you think? Do you think that's like some crazy tinfoil hat type shit where you're connecting all the dots on the board, or do you think that sounds like it might actually happen?
I don't know, man. I'm gonna be honest. I kind of zoned out while you were going through all that shit. To be frank, man.
All right, let me reduce it to this. Do you think Microsoft is going to buy more people?
Sure. Why not? I mean, everybody's buying everybody out these days, so I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
I think that's kind of what it comes down to. Is that yeah, all of that shit, you can connect a bunch of dots and it makes sense. But I think the more obvious thing here is that Microsoft and Sony have both been on buying sprees as of late, and so would it be shocking? No, it just seems to be one of those cases where it would almost make more sense that Crystal Dynamics would be singled out by Microsoft, as they are already now working with them, again, at their Octagonal A development studio, The Initiative. But there you have it. So that's coming out. Big surprise. You know what? All the Tomb Raider games in the last 3 they made, they're all fucking good games. They're not amazing, but they're all good games, and so it would be nice to continue to see them go on with that, and what they would look like with Unreal Engine 5, probably pretty fucking good after the demos we've seen of Unreal Engine 5. So I expect pretty good things to come out of that. At least I hope. Speaking of Microsoft acquisitions, Mr. Black, Bernie Sanders, perennial old guy and occasionally a Twitter feed bomber, came out with a couple of other senators this past week to say that he's not so happy about this whole Microsoft buying out Activision Blizzard thing, and they put together a nice, strongly worded letter, much like the Canadians would up here, to state just how upset, or not upset, but concerned, I suppose is the better word, they were about this whole process, and that they were hoping the FTC would take a closer look based on these, concerns that they had. And what were their concerns? Well, other than the fact that they're probably not individually making money out of this buyout, their concerns were that certainly, well, I shouldn't say this. I'm getting ahead of myself. Their primary concern that I read in this letter was that, as we know, Activision Blizzard has about 410,000 lawsuits right now. Of those 410,000 lawsuits, 409,999 are sexual assault cases or employee, abuse cases in some degree, shape, or form. And they are concerned that with this buyout, as often happens when a market gets more and more homogenous amongst the employers, is that the rights of employees tend to go down as there are less employers in any given market, which makes sense because there's less places for employees to go, and so the power resides more and more with an employer. The more employers on the market, the more choices an employee has, and you can see how that would go. So that's like a really general statement. However, the thing to keep in mind is that, at least to my knowledge, I haven't been hearing Microsoft getting fucking smoked with a bunch of sexual assault cases or employee mistreatment or anything of that nature. And so it seems like a bit of a just kind of a generalized statement, more on the consolidation of the industry than anything. However, the more obvious secondary issue that they listed here, and certainly I don't think anyone is going to disagree with this one, is that they're a bit concerned that old Bobby Kotick is going to be dodging accountability for the multiple lawsuits while getting a major payout thanks to the buyout, which is it's entirely true. All of this is going on. Bobby might actually be able to get out of this unscathed, or relatively so, as we saw that they've already, last week we discussed that $18 million settlement that they had with one of their bigger lawsuits, and that was with the State Department putting that in place. So that was an easy out for them there. And with all this happening, it seems Bobby's going to get out while also getting a fucking epic golden parachute up out of that bitch. And they're a little bit concerned about that. I think everyone except for Bobby is a little bit concerned about that, but the fact of the matter is, I don't think it matters who's concerned about that. I think any way, shape, or form, Bobby's going to win. Bobby is taking the dub on that one, and it's a large dub worth many millions of dollars. All the same, that was the letter, and at the end of the day, do we think that it's going to mean anything with this buyout? Well, the CEO of Microsoft, Mr. Nadella, said, and none of this, I'm not direct quoting this shit, but fuck no, it doesn't matter. That shit's going through, bitch. It's basically what Nadella said, more or less. He was a little bit more tactful with his statement, but that's kind of where it went. And I think, because the reality is, and what he mentioned, is that even with this merger, there's still, or this, not merger, acquisition, there's still number 3 in the market. They're not even number 1 with this buyout. They're number 3, and with a percentage of the market share in the teens, which the number 1 player in the market is also in the teens. So there's no, this is such a fractured market that it seems, because it's such a huge dollar amount, that they're catapulting themselves into some sort of monopolistic situation. When in reality, they're not. They're kind of limping themselves into a top 3 position with a huge paycheck. So that's kind of how it plays out. So Nadella's not so concerned about this not going through, and I would tend to agree. What about you, Mr. Black? You think this is going through? Do you think this is going to get blocked by the FTC?
No, I don't think it's going to get blocked. I think Bernie Sanders is a socialist. I'll bite my tongue.
Just gonna leave it at socialist? Stop.
I am not a
That's
fan
a
of Bernie
dirty word
Sanders.
in and of itself, Mr. Black.
He is.
No, I know he is.
I mean, he is. So
No, I know he is. It's more in the States to call somebody a socialist is to call them a communist. So
Bernie Sanders, Bernie Sanders, he ain't it, man. This old guy just needs to go and sit in his lawn chair. Call it a day.
Bernie, you know what Bernie reminds me of, Mr. Black? As much as I would have rathered Bernie Sanders clearly being in over somebody like Trump back in 2016. I don't agree with everything Bernie says, but I think I would have clearly preferred that over Trump.
I think a lot of people would prefer that.
You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of the NDP, where we have a lot of these really big ideas that on paper, like, yes, I think everyone would like all of these things to exist. The problem is you have to find out a way to pay for it all. And we also know that in the US, they clearly have the money for it, but that's not the problem. The problem is who is, even if you got power, going to be able to draw the money out of those other funds to pay for this shit, which is the same thing with the NDP here. It's like, yes, we understand that we have the money to do all these things, but you have to convince us that you're going to even if you were in power with a majority, be able to magically pull that money out of other funds.
Welcome to socialism.
So you know what, though? You know what I appreciate about those, similar to here in Canada with the NDP, is that they do make a really good opposition. You want somebody that's like that, throwing that shit, because they know they're not going to get the prize.
Yeah.
They're looking for like the 10%. Like if they get 10% of what they put out, it's probably not the worst thing in the world.
I think a lot of people like Bernie Sanders.
Well, they like him because they want to.
They play the violin, and
of course
they know who they're trying to rally up everyday folks.
You know who Bernie Sanders needs?
You know, it's just.
You know who he needs, Mr. Black, to really bring this back?
Who does he need?
Sarah McLachlan.
There you go. I will remember you.
That's who Bernie Sanders. That's his magic in. He hasn't dipped into the powerful well of Sarah McLachlan hits. Clearly not watching enough public access television back in the day to understand the power of one Miss Sarah McLachlan. But there you go. In related news to the Activision Blizzard, Blizzard stuff here, Overwatch 2 producer Tracy Kennedy called out Bobby Kotick on Twitter for being a major reason the game has been, and when I say the game, I mean Overwatch 2, has been so long in the making, Mr. Black. In the tweets, she asks Bobby to tell everyone about the random Overwatch 1 projects that he's been forcing teams to work on instead of their Overwatch 2 workflow, which has resulted in, as she stated in these tweets, a shitload of overtime for everyone working on these because they're doing double duty of Overwatch 2 plus producing this content that Kotick has planted in front of them for Overwatch 1. Many of these projects, even worse, were canceled, meaning that all that work was done for absolutely no benefit while also pushing the development of Overwatch 2 back by what she estimates to be many months. Also, on top of that, what it resulted in was what she stated to be entire teams of people leaving, stating Kotick as the reason for why they were leaving the development.
Why is this news? Like why? Like I'm dead serious about this. You know what? I'm tired of fucking hashing out.
What?
Because it's one of these days, man. One of these days for me. You know what I'm fucking tired of hearing? I'm tired of hearing these same fucking stories once a month from a bunch of people that are putting blame on certain. Who gives a shit? Nobody gives a shit about Overwatch 2. Like, who gives a fuck? It's been delayed several months. Who cares? Like, if the game ever comes out, who gives a fuck? Seriously. Like, I mean, goddamn. Is this news? Is this newsworthy? Some girl going on Twitter trying to out Bobby Kotick.
Well, she's a producer for Overwatch 2. It's not like a random employee.
Who gives a fuck? Like, who cares? Is this news? Is this newsworthy?
Well, I think for her, at least, and the team.
Holy shit,
I think for her and the team, the reason why you'd see something like that, and I don't disagree that not a lot of people are pining for Overwatch 2. I don't disagree with you there. I think why she would be doing it is that ultimately what tends to happen and what we've seen clearly
I've
in
never
multiple
heard of
cases.
this girl's name before, bro. So if people are pointing at, oh, it's these people, it's it's not me, it's my
No,
it's
I don't
my
think she's
boss.
pointing specifically to her, but they obviously the development team is going to feel like people are blaming the developers
But
for
who's
not
blaming
producing.
who? I'm not hearing anything like ever about Overwatch 2.
Well,
Like
I mean,
ever.
I don't think
This
your
isn't-
social media silo includes Overwatch 2.
I don't think there is social media about Overwatch 2. I really don't think that there's a story. If this is such a big story, if I were to go to these tweets, they probably got 400 likes. Nobody cares. And
Well,
nobody cares about her opinion about outing her bosses about reason why games are delayed. Like, what the fuck? That's I don't know.
I know,
Maybe
like I think it's indicative of like a broader thing on social media right
We've been talking about this for fucking ever, over and over and over again. We get it. The game developers, they're overworked. They get too much overtime, not enough manpower. We get it. Like I like. What else is there to discuss? Do we go on a pivot here and just shit more on Bobby Kotick or whoever's running these? Like, where do these discussions go? Do we get our pitchforks out and go on message forums and get angry at whoever? It's like I mean I don't. I just don't see the point. It's just to rile people up. That's what this is. It's to piss people off and point blame on somebody. There's nothing positive about this, and nothing good will come out of it. Nobody is like, seriously. I don't think people care outside of the ones that are working there. And if you don't like it, 90% of the game industry is this way.
Well, I think that's why, and I think that's why you're seeing so much of it recently, is because all it takes is like the dam to break, right? So everyone. Well, I shouldn't say everyone, but the people working within the industry clearly aware of what's going on. But when you're kind of in your own world for a while, and then one of the biggest publishers and developers on the planet starts getting sued a million and one ways over the last couple of years. And we also saw it from Riot in the years previous, probably starting from around 2018, 2019. The problem is, or not the problem, but what happens is it's the dam breaking, right? So you got a couple that trickle out, and then everyone all at once. And like, so is it news? Well, I think it's news insofar as that we're getting all of it out now, even though like
Bro, this ain't gonna
tangentially.
Stop, man. This shit is gonna be the same thing next month. 6 months from now, it's gonna be the same thing. It's gonna be the same thing. It's like me going on Twitter and then posting out something about Twitch about how unhealthy it is to be a streamer, and I gotta stream 70 hours a week just to fucking stay in the top 15 rows on my category to make X amount of dollars, and it's like Twitch doesn't give a fuck. They don't care.
Well, that's not the exact same dynamic.
It's similar. Like, you know what you're getting yourself into. You can't be a successful streamer working part-time. And a lot of times you can't be successful working 40 hours a week. You got to overwork. I mean, it's getting to the point where people are fucking turning on their streams and playing VODs because they feel like they need to just be on 24/7 to make a paycheck. It's the same thing. If we don't like it, move industries. It's not going to change. It's going to get worse. It's going to get more competitive. It's going to get scrutinized even more. And it's going to weed out the ones that just don't have, it's a lifestyle. Now, a lot of these jobs and these careers, especially in the arts, it's a lifestyle. You got to love the grind. You got to love the fucking hard work and the long hours and the crunch time and all this shit. And you just got to, I shouldn't say you got to love it, but you got to understand that this is part of it. And like, it's just, for me, it just, hearing it so much, it just comes with like a lot of bitching and whining. And it's like, I get it. Trust me, I do. But like, at the same time, what are you doing about it?
Well, I guess, so what, I guess, obviously not the entire industry is like this, because if the entire industry was like this, then there would be a complete and utter lack of people wanting, like the turnover would be high absolutely everywhere, but it's not high everywhere. It's high in specific companies and under specific publishers or under specific developers.
Very big ones, very big ass companies. These aren't small ass companies. I'm sure it happens just as much in small ass companies. You just don't hear about it because it's not newsworthy. Nobody gives a fuck about a super small developer that's going to make some game that's going to go on Steam for $2.99. And these motherfuckers have been working 90-hour weeks, crunching this shit all to hell, getting reamed by their bosses, getting paid fucking like they got picked up on Fiverr. You know what I'm saying? Nobody gives a fuck about them. The only reason why this is even remotely newsworthy is because there's a bunch of backlash already. People are already jumping on the hate train. Here's another something. And people don't even, it's just, all it is bait to rile people up and get people angry and do the social media shame and bullshit that we've been going on and on and on about for all this time. That's what this is.
Okay, so two things. One, I believe in this instance, the central point was that they were being diverted away from Overwatch 2 to do Overwatch 1 shit, even though they were being assigned specifically Overwatch 2.
Why does it matter if Overwatch 2 comes out a year, 2, 3, 4, 7 years down the road and their developer? Who gives a fuck? It doesn't matter. They're not getting paid for the game to be fucking released and then make a shit ton of money on the back end. These motherfuckers are building a game, and that's it. It shouldn't matter to them. They're getting paid regardless. Doesn't matter if they stay on Overwatch 1 for 15 years or they do Overwatch 2. Who gives a fuck?
Well, if a lot of your salary or bonus or any kind of end of year pay is centered around the performance of a game release, then it kind of does. Well, tell me how it's not the case, Jed.
Okay, anyway, let's just move forward, man.
No, tell me. I'm
not interested because every single time a goalpost is moved, every fucking time I bring up something and I get combative about something. Every time, bro.
I'm not moving. I'm asking to explain.
Bro,
so if you say
these guys, they don't give a. I'm telling you, they're not complaining because they can't get their Christmas bonus at the end of the year. They're complaining because they're overworked. They don't got enough staff, and any fans or whatever are bitching and complaining about their game not coming out, which the majority of people for Overwatch 2 don't give a fuck about anyway. And I'd fire this girl or whoever they did. I'd fire her on the spot. I'd be like, you're done, man. You're fucking done. You go on social media, you want to run your mouth, you want to say, oh, my employer is so bad, or the people, you're fired. Get out of my company. That's what I do instantaneously. It's crazy. All it is baiting and hate. That's what it is. This is the reason why that game reviews get bombed the fuck and their shit goes downhill and then Steam's got to change everything up, is because people are upset about their work situations. I understand bad work situations when it comes to sexual harassment and all this other stuff. There's no place for it. But when you're getting overworked and shit is crunch time and shit gets delayed and these people don't understand how big of how huge of a machine it is to run all of this shit, and they're just poking at Bobby. And what are we supposed to do? We're just going to take one person's side of everything. We don't know what is being said behind the scenes. We don't know why a game is actually being delayed. We have no idea what is going on. Shit, we just went through COVID, for Christ's sake. So these people think they understand the business, but they're hired to do a job and they're getting paid to do their job. They're not paid to run a company. They got to follow in line. This just comes off as whining to me. It just does.
What are their options? If all the things that you just listed, where they're being overworked, and in some instances where compensation is quit. That's it.
Quit. That's it. You don't like you. Listen, bro. That I know it seems crazy. Isn't that wild that I just said that? Isn't that crazy? Quit. I can't quit. I got a family to feed. I got to do this. Find a different employer. Go take your talent elsewhere. If you are really talented at what you do, there is going to be somebody chomping at the bit to get what you got. If you hate your job, you should be working towards going to the next job. So yeah, may not just be quitting on the spot because you had a bad 6 months at your employer. But if you start to see a consistency on you being miserable for your job for a long period of time, you need to have the know-all, and you need to understand you as a person And you got to say, okay, I might not be able to physically just quit today because I got shit to pay for, but you better be damn right. On all my free time, whenever I can, I'm going to be searching for that next job. And the moment that job comes up, I'm going to tell Bobby Kotick and whoever else to go fuck themselves privately like a professional would, all right? And then leave their job. You don't
Do you think she has
public.
access to Bobby Kotick?
Whoever it is. That's the way the world works. If you don't like your job situation, leave.
So the solution for the majority of the video game industry is to just don't work in the video game industry.
You just told me it's not the majority, Adam. You told me it's specific.
I did not say that it wasn't the majority, but I did say that the majority of this situation is centered around the fact that they are getting largely blamed, and everyone gets tired of getting blamed for everything. And if there's if there's nothing that ever comes out, and you're doing your job, you're trying to enjoy it, and all of these people that are named publicly for what their positions are, whether they're a producer or a high-ranking developer or a lead design or a lead anything, they are immediately the ones that get basically shit on constantly, or messages sent to them all the time. But I guess by people who are fucking crazy on social media. You and I know just as much.
I don't know a single developer's Twitter handle. None in the history of developing
games. You're not everyone!
Games.
You are not if it doesn't, part of your problem is that if it doesn't pass through your social media feed, you believe wholeheartedly that it doesn't exist.
Holy Jesus fucking Christ.
That's why you ask, why is this news?
I don't, okay.
Well, you just said it, you just said you don't see it. Okay. So if you don't see it, it clearly isn't a problem.
All right.
But if but honestly, if for 4 or 5 years now we have seen this be a consistent thing being brought to the forefront after the dam broke, clearly this is a pretty major issue and something that when the state departments in California are suing companies over it, it has to be a bit of a problem, no? Like there has to be something that has to be done about it. If a state department starts getting involved, does that not make sense that maybe there's a little more than just people bitching about the fact that they're working in a coal mine? And if you're going to work at a coal mine, you should know that black lung is probably part of your job. And if you don't want black lung, don't work there.
Sure, Adam. Yes, you're right.
Okay.
You're right.
All right. Halo Infinite, another company. Struggling. Another game with another company struggling to put their shit together. Although this one, for different reasons. They put out their latest community patch. And by that I mean they announced more or less where the game is currently and where the Season 2 is going in the not too distant future. Because I believe Season 2 kicks off in May. And what that ends up meaning is that everyone read it and saw that the only things really coming out of Season 2 are, I think it was 1 or 2 maps, and then a couple of really kind of mediocre cosmetics. And so, people aren't particularly excited about that. And a little concerned, as we've seen before, where the game is actually going. To the point where one of the developers actually had to come out and talk about this on Twitter, where they said that, and this is a quote from them, "There are indeed a lot of challenges and constraints. We're certainly not happy to be unable to meet player and community expectations. It's a difficult situation that's going to take a team time to work through. Right now, the focus is on Season 2, and we'll have more to share on that in the coming weeks. Meanwhile, a lot of production planning, costing, hiring, etc. is all happening, which doesn't really lend to detailed regular updates. We understand the community is simply out of patience, and frankly, I think understandably tired of words. We just need some time for the team to get details sorted, and then we can certainly share as much as we can." Of course, this got downvoted into oblivion on Reddit because it's the same message that they've used like 5 different times now, where they're asking for more time, and this, that, and the other thing. I think the ultimate, and I feel bad for any community-facing person here that's got to play between 343 Industries and the fans, where 343 decided to try and be as transparent about this process as possible, is that there is no way for them to win this situation. Because ultimately, these guys, these community-facing guys, can only report what they're allowed to report. They can't come out and say, all right, guys, so the reality of the matter is that even though this game got delayed by a year and had 6 years of development, it was nowhere near ready to be released. Not only that, but we didn't have any content that was prepared to be released inside of the first 6 months of the game post-launch, even after that 1-year delay. And as such, I think the only hints at that they're getting here, that they're getting away with, is that they're mentioning costing, planning, and hiring 6 months after the release of this game. They have no content, no nothing, but they're still talking about planning, costing, and hiring in that group. Those are all words that you don't want to hear only 6 months after your game as a service was released. Those are all things that you should have been doing 2 years before your game was put out on the market. It is shocking to continue to see this, and I truly believe now that there is a good chance that after the end of this year, there is a shot that this game doesn't get the money from Microsoft to continue on. I think this thing might actually go down the path of either being incredibly relegated and put on a shoestring budget, or it gets deleted off the face of the fucking planet. Because there's no way that in Season 2, which will by that time be, I can't remember how many months, fucking post-launch, the only things that we've gotten are like 3 maps and some PNGs to put on a Spartan for a costume. And that's the show for a game as a service. If you looked at any other game as a service and what happens in the first 6 months or even 6 months at any given time, no matter how long the game's been out, there is everything I just described is a slow Tuesday in a game as a service. So to have that spread over half of a calendar year or more is fucked up. And I don't think these small level of players that are still going on with this shit are going to be hanging on for a hell of a lot longer. And they just admitted that I think that they know that player patience has basically bottomed out. And so that's my prediction. End of this year, if they don't have a fucking Hail Mary between now and the end of the year where Forge comes out. Forge is the only thing that saves them now. In terms of player base, Forge comes out and they let people build their levels and people are just playing in Forge by the end of the year. Because it ain't going to be anything else. If they're going to put out 2 maps in the calendar year of 2022 on a live service game, can you imagine? 2 maps for the entire year. It's fucking crazy. They're like, everyone in this list is just saying, like, and you know what I expect because it's Reddit? Is that when you read these comments, and you can probably see them because I linked the Reddit post there, Mr. Black, is that the majority of the people that responded to this in the original thread are honestly not being toxic. They're actually just like, look, I appreciate you coming out here and you're doing your job and you guys gave it your best, but nothing you guys have said or done makes any fucking sense since this came out. It's very little of the usual, like, just shitting like all over them and cursing and swearing at them and stuff. But I think it's all over. I don't like it sucks because when the game came out, it had such great core gameplay, but they had nothing to back it up. They had nothing in the tank. That was everything they had produced, released on day one. They had nothing else in even more than, I guess, what it looked like pre-production. If you guys just heard that, it's because they're still blowing shit up down the fucking road from here a little ways. I don't know if they're digging for gold in this fucking new development, but they have been blasting like they're looking for China for the last fucking like month and a half. So it's a complete fucking mess. And I don't know what to think of it. I'm disappointed because it's Halo. I'm wondering if Microsoft, how much longer they float this thing. And truthfully, and I've said it several times before, I don't think 343 should have hands on this property anymore. If you're Mr. Black, if you are Phil Spencer, head of who is now brand new title bestowed upon him, you are the head of Xbox now. It's a new title created just for you because you've been kicking so much ass. And you watch your flagship game, your flagship intellectual property, have 3 swings at the bat through 343, and all of them be strikes. And this one's supposed to be the one that's a 10-year plan, like Destiny, as a live service game. And this is the state of it. And this is how they're handling their business. Do you continue to let 343 manage Halo, or do you bleed them out of doing that and move them to something else and try and salvage whatever the fuck is going to be left of the Halo name? Because we've gotten to the point now where people get angry at everything. They released a Halo cookbook the other day and blasted it on social media. And clearly the people making the game are not the people making the cookbook, but the optics of like social media pushing for a cookbook during all this happening is just not like they can't do anything anymore. So what if you're Phil Spencer, how do you handle this situation right now?
I think you go on Twitter and you blame Bobby Kotick. That's what I think.
They haven't finalized the deal yet. Phil's not allowed to blame Bobby Kotick yet.
Okay.
That's not
Okay.
he's not able. Give it a few more months.
Shit.
That will be a viable out. But for now, Bobby is out of
don't
reach.
know. Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know. Halo, the game's good, so I mean, it did better than I thought it was going to do.
The core gameplay is definitely better than I thought it was going to be. Unfortunately, that's kind of all it has, is core gameplay, because everything else is games as a service.
It's free to play, so I mean, at the end of the day,
no.
I mean,
But so is Fortnite, so is Warzone. You know, pretty much every other game as a service, they're all free, and they all produce way more content.
I just think I personally think, and I'm extremely biased when I say this,
That's fair.
but I think Halo's
Dead.
dead. I just think it's I don't even, when you called it flagship, I was going to interrupt you and say I'm not even sure it's a flagship
Well,
game anymore.
Traditionally, I think this point. I think you're right. I think in the year 2022, after Infinite, Halo is dethroned as like Forza is more of a thing now than
100%. Forza is way more of a flagship game than Halo is. I know it's a tough pill to swallow, but I mean, it's just the way. That's just the way it is. If Halo Infinite couldn't do it, what is Halo? Where do you go? Like, what do you do from here? I mean, you make TV shows, I guess, and then people bitch and complain about that too. So, at the end of the day, I just think I think Halo is on its way out. I think we'll get some more. I think we'll get updates and stuff, and it'll get small resurgence. But I think once that content is played, people are gonna be like, "I'm going back to Fortnite."
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's just it. It's not what it used to be.
Do you think their Hail Mary is a battle royale? Do you think their Hail Mary is a battle royale?
No, I think their Hail Mary was Halo Infinite. This? I think that was their Hail Mary. I mean, what else were they gonna do? They made the game free to play. You know, they got a campaign that you can purchase, I guess.
That one's purchase, yeah. Or it's on Game Pass.
Or it's on Game Pass.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I think that's where Halo belongs now. I think it's just a Game Pass type experience, and that's the show.
Yeah.
I have no confidence. It's not even just 343. I just have no confidence at all in them creating anything that's going to make any major waves. I mean, Halo's a big enough name that it garners a level of respect and a level of, oh, there's a Halo coming, and people it piques their interest. And then when they realize it's just Halo, they're whatever. It's like a TV show that's just been on the air for way too long. And
The Walking Dead.
There you go. Probably a good way to, it's, it's a great analogy. It's like Walking Dead. It's like there's a new spinoff show or a new Walking Dead season or whatever, and people are like, oh, Walking Dead, I haven't watched that since season 5. What season are they on now? 12? Oh, shit. Maybe I'll check it out. You'll watch the premiere, be like, there's way better zombie shows out there now, or zombie shows are just run their course. I need a break. It's like that with Halo, I think.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's a mixture of. I don't want to say that they didn't at least figure out how to modernize the gameplay experience, because I think with the additions of stuff like the repulsor and the grappling hook and things like that, it really dramatically changed how Halo plays as a shooter. And no, it's not the fast-paced Call of Duty, but it's certainly added an entirely new level to what Halo is known for.
Oh, and they needed to do that.
And they needed to do that.
If they didn't do
100%. Oh,
it'd
they
be
would
way
be worse.
The game would have been
even faster.
Yeah.
So So yeah, I think for me, if I'm Phil Spencer, I give them probably 2 years to put content out for Infinite, and while that is going on, just to keep the train going, not throw away all the assets that we just spent 6 fucking years on, make some money out of it on the people that will remain. After 2 years, in that 2 years, I'm spending the next 2 years putting together a plan for taking the mantle of Halo off of 343 and moving the mantle to somebody else. I don't know who that is. Maybe we have to buy somebody because we're Microsoft. Maybe we got to buy somebody to hand the mantle off to. Maybe we need to do what we did with the Initiative, except less shitty, and put together an Avengers team to attempt to do it. Because unfortunately for them, a lot of the people, despite being, tied up, or not, well, I shouldn't say that. A lot of the people it's Bungie. And Bungie is making Destiny 2. And you know what? The people that stayed behind for 343 for Halo did not do as good of a job as the people that moved on to Bungie to make Destiny and Destiny 2. Destiny 2 and Destiny 1 are everything I think Halo Infinite wanted to be, and they don't have the chops for it, and now Microsoft's got to come up with a way to get out of it. So I think that's my plan. I give them 2 years, get your seasons out, do your thing, but then in that 2 years, I'm finding another team. And I'm relegating you to, I don't even know what, because they didn't even do the Master Chief Collection well, and they had 3 attempts at the Master Chief Collection. So what do you do with 343? At that point, is it a management problem? Is it like the upper end of 343 that's the issue? Is it like it's rarely
I honestly think it's the IP. I really don't. I think 343 made a good game. I actually think it's a good, competent Halo. It's one of the better Halo experiences that I can remember.
They just can't crank out content for it.
I don't even think I think they could have all the content in the world and the game's still dying. I seriously, if they came up
that's entirely possible.
Yeah, I think if they came up with new maps every 3 months, like you get little bumps, but like the bumps are going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. I think it's the IP. I think the IP and just the mechanics of the game and how it is to its core is just dated. It's there's just
so
better,
maybe we just give 343 something else. Say, hey, you know what, 343, you pitch us.
Yeah, go ahead.
Pitch us what you want to do. What do you? That's not Halo. What is it that you? What is the 343's thing? Maybe you're tired of doing Halo now. Maybe you need something else to break the. That's what Bungie did. They were like, I'm tired of making Halo. We need to get the fuck out. And then they coincidentally basically just made another Halo game and called it something else. But all the same, maybe they do just need something different. Let them know what to. Bring us something. Impress us with a fucking pitch, and let's see how we can make that happen. Because it's not Halo. Whatever it is, whether it's 343, Halo, or both, it's not working. Whatever it is. Unfortunately. And I still, for me, I think that there's so much in that IP that I can't imagine that a game like Call of Duty can have more or less the same formula for 15 years and not fall off. I think some of Halo's problem is that it hasn't necessarily had the same formula for 15 years, and they've been all over the place. Every Halo has had a little bit of something different nothing is stuck with the broader group. So I don't know, but we'll find out what happens. But I think Phil is definitely considering his options, because you're not going to want to put a bunch more money into this if they can't pull that bitch up from a nosedive.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say
go ahead.
Well, I just think I personally just think Call of Duty is just a better game. In general,
I know
it's just painful. I know it's just painful to even utter those words.
I don't disagree. It is painful, but I don't disagree.
It's painful as fuck. And Call of Duty they've just been super consistent. And Halo had long periods of nothingness. And they just did not adapt. Call of Duty adapt I shouldn't say every year, but every few years they'd make small tweaks, and they had a legion of fanboys and fangirls out there that kept their name in the public, kept playing it. They were consistent. Every iteration was the same but slightly different. It's just
what it's kind of an example of, what you're talking about? It's an example of consistency is often better than shooting for fucking excellence every time.
Yeah.
Like you show up and it's nice to want to believe that you can hit excellence every time. If you're talking about an individual sport or a person within sport, or you're talking about a team, an individual can show up and like fucking blow the doors off every time, but it doesn't mean that you're going to hit a home run as a team. Or just the team in general. It's better to just show up and be consistent a lot of the time. And then once in a while, bam, hit a fucking homer. And then right back to that, like, oh, it's not amazing, but you know what? They're consistent. And with Halo, it's been like fucking that shit been yo-yoing.
It's like getting a Bouse burger. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, there's one location in particular that got the goods.
Yes.
Right? That's Call of Duty. It's like you just feel like that, when you order it, is going to taste the same, is going to use the same shit. You know exactly what you're getting. You know how much it is. You know how long it's going to take. That's just that. Or you can go to another location and you get the same, you order the same damn thing and the shit tastes different every time you go there. You're like, this one time it was actually really good, but these last two times, I don't know what the fuck, who was cooking. I don't know what's going on here. That's Halo. Like, it's just, they're just not consistent. And you look at something like Battlefield, they're just bad. They're just bad every time.
They're not even, they're consistently bad.
Yes. And they used to be good. They used to be the Bouse burger.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden they just like changed up the patty and you're like, whoa, go back to the old patty. And they're like, no, this patty is good. I want you can't change the toppings. The sauce is nothing. You're going to order this burger because I need you to experience this burger the way that I want you to experience the burger so you can get the full effect. It's like, bitch, I'm lactose intolerant. Don't put cheese on that burger. And they're like, well, it comes with cheese. Pick it off. I picked the cheese off and my shit is still, it's seeped into my patty. Now I got the runs. That, that's where we're at right now.
The reality of that analogy is so fucking painful too. It's true. When you're just getting hit with lactose, you can't even, that cheese slice can't be walked past the patty.
No, you can't.
It can't even be within the general vicinity of that patty. That cow, before it became a patty, had to be barren. No milk in that cow.
Yeah.
Because everything will fuck you right up. It's true. But yeah, it sucks to see. It is painful. It's very painful to say Call of Duty is just flat out better than Halo.
It's painful. It's painful as fuck.
That's a sentence nobody should ever have to say. And yet here we are. We're being forced to say that out loud. Fuck.
It's just better. It's just better. It sucks, but it's better.
Fuck.
And even though it is better, I'll play Halo over Call of Duty.
Yeah.
But
look out of spite.
Just out of spite. I'll pick the cheese off and I'll like suffer. I won't even do that. I won't even play Halo, right? Like, it's not that it's bad. I enjoyed when I played the Infinite. It was a good time.
Yeah, but unfortunately for me, like, I really enjoyed it. I'd still play it. For me, it's not even like the lack of maps. I was never sitting here going, oh, I desperately need new maps. Like, that wasn't my thing. That's like more for the general like player base that would want new shit. For me, it was, they had no answer for cheaters. Like, zero. Actually, zero anti-cheat. And that became a bigger and bigger problem, as you might imagine. The longer you go on with no anti-cheat, the worse it's gonna fucking get. And then the net code was just garbage. Like, you'd be firing like 3 feet behind a guy, and it would be hitting. You'd be shooting on them, and it's not hitting shit. And like that, you can live with that for a while, but like 5 months of that shit, eventually, it's like torture. It's like that old like water torture method. You're laying there, 1 drop of water in your forehead for like 5 fucking months, and eventually it drills a hole into your skull, and you're like, net code! And that's where I was, and I haven't played it since. Literally just just sat that bitch down and walked away. Wargaming, best known for World of War tanks and other World of games, of which there's like, I don't fucking 5 of those or something. I think they have World of Tanks, World of War planes, ships, and a couple others. Made a morally easy, but financially difficult, I'm sure, decision to leave Russia and Belarus entirely, deciding that they will no longer own or operate any businesses in either country. I can't remember. I think Wargaming is Polish, but I can't remember where the original offices were located. But I do know that all of their games were really fucking popular in Russia, and so I suspect they had more than a couple of places set up in both of those countries. But it is one of the more, there have been lots of companies that have been in gaming doing things about Russia in general. This is one of the more aggressive forms. I don't think there's been very many that have just ceased operations entirely, especially for somebody like Wargaming. But all the same, they made the decision, they made the call. And the shittiest thing about all of these things, just like sanctions and stuff for Russia, is that ultimately it hurts like the average person more than it hurts the people at the top. But I guess the idea, I don't know, I'm not a geopolitician, but I guess the idea here is that the more that the everyday person is inconvenienced by all this shit, the more that those people turn against their government, and eventually the pressure comes from within the country instead of going to war toe to toe. That's how it works. And so Wargaming, I guess, joining the effort, getting in there and removing their stuff. So there you go. Gen X and more than a handful of older millennials rejoiced this week as Ron Gilbert, in collaboration with Devolver Digital and Lucasfilm Games, announced the new Return to Monkey Island. And it's closer than you think, as it's set to release later this year. I can't remember. Did you ever play Monkey Island games? Was that something?
I have them all on Steam, and Kale and I played, I think, the first one, like it did a playthrough years ago.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Because they're old games. Like, they're fucking, they're old. They got remastered, I think, for Steam or something.
They did.
Yeah. But yeah, they were very popular games when they first came out. Lots of people in the age bracket of, I'm going to say, somewhere between the ages of 30 and 50. That's I think the pocket right there that would have played those games. Lots of people were excited about that on social media this week, and in those categories specifically. But there you go. So that's being backed up by Devolver Digital and Lucasfilm Games, as I said, and in collaboration with Ron Gilbert, who's, I believe, the original creator of the Monkey Island games, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody can correct me on that if you wish, if I am indeed wrong. After getting some heat over no local emulation for PS3 games on their new PlayStation Plus service last week, including from myself on the podcast last week, Jeff Grubb of VentureBeat went digging to ask some of his sources if they knew anything about the possibility of that changing. And after he waited some time to hear back from his sources, according to their sources, it does appear that there is still a possibility for that to happen. Local emulation of the PlayStation 3 games. But if it does happen, it will take time before it would be able to go through. And that does make sense in that we know that the PlayStation 3's architecture was incredibly complicated for reasons nobody ever really fucking understood, and only a handful of games ever were able to make use of, even on the PlayStation 3 during its time out in the market. And so emulating it while possible, and there are even some off-market emulators for PS3 that work sort of okay for some games right now. It's not an easy thing to do, and clearly it would be an expensive endeavor, which is why last week we assumed it was the money that was stopping them from doing it in the first place. Because really, when you think about it, having emulation done like that is less about making money and more of like a PR thing at that point. Because really, if people wanted to play their PS3 games, you just fucking go buy a PS3 and just play that shit locally.
Pretty cheap too.
And be done with it,
Pretty fucking cheap.
Yeah, exactly. Because unless you are going to do what Xbox did and include reasons to play it, like let's say I have a 360 and I could play some of the 360 games, but on the Xbox One or the Xbox Series X, they have that game available, but it's getting resolution boosted and frame rate boosted. Well, now I have a reason to play it on the Series X instead of digging out my 360. But on the PS3 side, I don't know if they're targeting that kind of a program or if they're just targeting the ability to locally play those games. Either one would be great. Clearly, we know which one of those two would be better received, but it's a very expensive thing for them to do, and is only, as of right now, rumored to be internally being explored as an option. And I don't doubt that they thought about it before announcing the package that they put out. It's the easiest thing for them to think of because it's something their competitor is doing. But again, very expensive, and certainly more expensive than what it would have been for Microsoft to do Xbox's emulation the way that they did it. And it's really PlayStation shot themselves in the foot. It was just the PS3's architecture was a gong show. So it's kind of just a shittier situation for them to do that. You know what? Something I thought about when I read this, and after I talked about it last week, and how I was like shitting on them for not having local emulation, is that at the end of the day, at least for me, and I'm not saying this is everyone because lots of people bought and played PS3 stuff, is I couldn't really think of a hell of a lot of games that I would desperately need backwards compatibility for, because I think a lot of them that are on the PS3 were already remastered at this point and released on the PS4 or now the PS5. Like the Uncharted games, I think, got re-releases. The Last of Us got put onto the PS4. For example, I think a lot of the stuff that PS3 were like the heavy hitters. I think the only thing that would be, I think there was a Metal Gear Solid game that was very specific to the PS3. I can't remember which one it was. And that's about it. I couldn't think of like, did you even play much PS3? You own a PS3.
I have
you got the
several,
fat, don't you?
Yeah, I've got several PS3s here, but
a fine collection of leather-bound PS3s.
Yeah, I PS3 is just not a system I played a whole lot of. I mean, by that time I was a PC gamer, so I mean,
that's true. That's true.
I was basically just playing StarCraft on the internet. That's pretty much
true.
That.
You played like Heavy Rain. I remember you streamed Heavy Rain, I think, at one point. That was one of them.
I mean, I did play some games for sure.
Yeah.
Like a decent amount, but a lot of the stuff I use my PS3 to play PS2 games or PS1 games, not necessarily PS3 games.
That's true. And then they stopped producing those too, like the PS3 Fats. It wasn't how long into the life cycle when they axed that? Was that like after year 1 or was it like 6 months deep?
I think it was the first year. That they got rid of that.
Yeah, and then the price of those went through like the fucking roof. For a time.
Like they're about 300 to 400 Canadian now for the backwards, like the fully backwards compatible. Because there is a version as well that it's backwards compatible, but only digitally. You can't actually put the disc in. You have to download the games, and you can play the games
like off a hard drive or some shit.
Well, yeah, or like
or through their network.
Through their network. And then there's like the really expensive one, the big expensive one. That's the one where you just put the discs in, and then you're good.
Fuck. Get out there and find one. Your local garage sale.
Yeah.
Are you doing that this summer? Are you going back garaging this summer?
100%, man. That's going to be happening every Saturday morning.
Getting back on the garage hype.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to find nothing, but it is nice to go out there and hustle around.
You know what? You never know after 2 years of being in isolation and people renovating their houses and like digging through shit because they got nothing else to do. Fuck, you never know what they found hiding in a corner somewhere that they're trying to get rid of now that it's open season. It could happen. It could happen. Has Facebook Marketplace like started blowing up yet about people like posting now that the weather's turned, or is it still too early?
I mean, Facebook Marketplace is always bumping.
Okay.
There's people are always selling shit on there, but video game wise, the hardest thing now with video game collecting is there's been so much publicity about video game collecting and how much money same with Pokemon cards. It's like
everything's going up.
Yeah, somebody will have like Super Mario Bros for the regular Nintendo, and they're like, I want $30 for this, and you're like, dude, what the fuck? It's not worth $30. Well, I saw something on the internet where Mario's Bros went for $1 million. You know, it's like,
oh yeah, true.
It just kind of it just ruins.
And the irony of that was that was like the irony of that one was that like all of the Mario shit was like completely fucking forged for the sale of like the multi-million dollar
all
cards.
That is a fucking that's another
money laundering.
Yeah, that's yeah. So anyway, it's tough. You can still find games, and I'm gonna go out and try, but it is definitely harder. Are
you gonna get the recording glasses back on?
I don't think I'm gonna go that far, but I will. Like, if I get a big pickup, I'll make a video about it. But ain't nobody got time for all that shit. I'm sure there's probably a lot better glasses now because the ones I had before were kind of bulky and ugly. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it's Ray-Ban. I think Ray-Ban has something.
They do. M's friend has them.
Yeah, and you can. I think the only issue with the Ray-Ban one is they look great. They look like regular Ray-Bans, and they can record stuff. But I think it's really meant to record moments, not necessarily record like 5-10 minutes of footage. So like you want to have them to like take a picture or a small 30-second video, so that you can kind of have those moments, I guess, if you're on vacation or whatever, right? But what I need them to like record on an SD card for,
lengthy periods of time. Yeah. They probably do still have like some fancier stuff now, but yeah, those Ray-Ban, I think those Ray-Bans are like basically just like a social media extension, more or less, right?
Is. Yeah.
And this week's NFTs in games probably is a bad idea. The official Formula 1 NFT game has shut down already. And Ubisoft announced that barely after launching it, Ghost Recon Breakpoint's NFTs are done and dusted, saying, and I quote, "You own a piece of the game and have left your mark in its history," end quote. They also promised to have more NFTs in other games in the future. So if you too want to spend a bunch of time and or money collecting stuff that Ubisoft is invariably going to shut down and make them all but worthless, good news! They've got more coming. The grimacing face and slow motion gunfights returns, Mr. Black. Do you remember Max Payne's face? He had that the high resolution packs back in the day or whatever. You could actually see it more clearly, but it's one of the most recognizable faces on a video game character. That very like he had the squint. And he looked like he was constantly getting like fucking stabbed in the appendix or some shit. Just and that was his default face. So that's coming back, Mr. Black, in a big way. As Remedy officially announced that Max Payne 1 and 2 are receiving full-on remakes. They will be in a standalone title that apparently, if I read this correctly, will be combining the first two games, so 1 and 2, in a singular pack. I don't think they're making like a one big long game, but I think they're just putting both into one package. It's being developed for the PS5, the Xbox Series XS, and PC using the Northlight engine, which is the engine that Control was built on, which was a very pretty looking game that was one of the few games worth using ray tracing for, that still to this day is one of the few games worth putting ray tracing on for. But that would be great. There's a very nice engine. A lot of juice can be extracted from that bad boy yet. It's receiving typical AAA Remedy budgeting, and it's being financed by Rockstar. So Rockstar Games is putting the money down for these to be produced. And it's currently only in the concept development stage, so we're still a long way away. But for the Max Payne fans out there hoping to be able to dip back in, because those games haven't aged that well, no. Having a remake for them, definitely not a bad idea. I think they would sell for sure, but all the same, there you go. There you have it. Max Payne. Max Payne was dope. I played 1 and 2 back in the day. I remember really thinking they were amazing. But you know what? I feel like I was almost too young to have played them and understood everything that was going on in Max Payne, because there was a lot of psychological shit that was playing out in those games, and I don't think at that age when I was playing them that I even remotely understood the fuck was going on. But it didn't matter, because there were slow motion gunfights, and they looked fucking dope. And so you did them. And then you got to that one level where you had to walk on on like a blood trail out in a nebulous black fucking area where if you could fall off at any given time, and you had no idea where the fuck you were going, and shit got weird. It was an acid trip. But the slow motion gunplay brought my young brain back every single time. And there you have it. That is the video game news for this week, Mr. Black. It's time to tell everyone what year it is and why that year makes it possible and necessary to hit us with a sponsorship click.
All right, first off, go to patreon.com/lagtv. Keep supporting the podcast. And if you want to support a sponsor, we got NordVPN. Link is in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're listening to this on a feed, www.nordvpn.com/OTT. Use the promo code OTT, get a massive discount plus a bonus month. Stay safe, stay anonymous when you're on the internet. Watch different regions of Netflix and other streaming services at the click of a button so you can have access to even more content. What else can you do? Have up to 6 simultaneous devices. They've got a new thing called threat protection, where for desktop users, you don't even have to be logged into a VPN, so you don't have to be using the VPN. All you need to do is just have a little button clicked on your desktop, and that'll help you against attackers, people that are trying to track your information and what you like to look at and all that other stuff. So they've got this new threat protection thingy bobber on the desktop.
This is very technical terms, Mr. Black.
Thingy bobber.
I like them. The thingy
like
bobber.
That? Hey, I just read about this today, so my sellout pitch isn't perfect.
That's okay. We got time. We can work it through.
Right.
We can work it through.
It isn't perfect, but I did watch the video. I did read up on it, and it's a good way to just browse your internet, chill out when you're at home, on the desktop in particular, and that have that extra layer of protection, guys. It's 2022, man. It's a digital world out there, and you're gonna need to protect yourself digitally, and you do that with NordVPN. And for the low price of a grande cinnamon dolce latte a month, less than, come on, guys. I use NordVPN. I use it.
That was before inflation. Now it's really cheap. That's way cheaper than a cinnamon now it's cheaper than the water at Starbucks at this point.
That is true. Actually, the water might be more expensive than the grande cinnamon dolce latte at Starbucks. So be careful.
That's true. Okay, my bad. Yeah, I forgot water's more expensive than everything. That's very true.
That's it. So definitely go check them out. Link is in the description below. That's it.
Now it's time for
movies and TV.
You know who should have used NordVPN before going out into the real world and interacting with other human beings, Mr. Black?
Who's that?
Ezra Miller, apparently, who continues to be on a particularly rough patch of his life. Just days after being arrested for harassing patrons at a karaoke bar, he was arrested for bursting into a couple's bedroom of all places in Hawaii before threatening them and then stealing a passport and a wallet amongst a couple of other random things. This is, I guess, there have been several events between the karaoke incident and this breaking into a person's bedroom incident. There are a handful of other incidents, all in Hawaii, I guess. He's just been on a Hawaiian tear. And now officially, what has happened apparently is that following these several instances, Warner Brothers and DC held an emergency meeting to decide how to handle this whole thing. And eventually they decided to pause all future projects with Miller at this time. Of course, if you don't know who Ezra Miller is, he is the dude who's playing the Flash on the show, I believe, the DC show. And the movie as well. Was it the movie as well?
I think I think he's the movie guy. I think that there's
he the movie guy?
show guy. Yeah,
oh, okay. Okay, so he's the movie guy then.
Yeah.
So then there you go. They're putting that shit on pause. And unfortunately, I don't know. Like you know what it reminds me of? He reminds me of like he's having a Justin Bieber moment where he's discovered hard drugs and now he's just doing some crazy shit.
Well, from what I've been hearing, is he's got some mental issues going on.
That would line up.
Yeah, so I think that there's just something going on with the guy. So,
well, hopefully he gets the help that he needs, because that's never a good thing to be battling with. And clearly, whatever he's doing currently is not working. So he needs to get some help, and hopefully he's got some friends to convince him to get that help in the first place before somebody drags him there instead. Jim Carrey subtly dropped in an interview that he's taking a break or even retiring from acting, unless something really spectacular that he thought he absolutely needed to do came across his path. The interviewer quickly mentioned, after he had said that, and I think he was just getting, or they were just getting to this point in the interview. Anyway, it was a coincidence. But apparently, Dolly Parton said that Jim Carrey is her dream pick to play her longtime music partner, Porter Wagner. That lit him up pretty quickly, and he said that he's always willing to talk to Dolly Parton, respects her a great deal, and would definitely, I guess, consider that, given what he said about how he felt about Dolly Parton. I think in the interview he actually said that they were unfortunately a little too far apart in age, and if he was a little bit younger, he would have chased after her. But everyone loves Dolly Parton. I mean, does anyone in the entertainment industry have anything bad to say about Dolly Parton? I don't think so. I think she's one of those, she's like Betty White type shit, where everyone just loves Dolly Parton. Apparently that was supposed to be like a Broadway deal at first, and then COVID happened, and so they converted it into an actual movie type deal, and that's why it's gotten to where it is. And so there you have it. Maybe Jim will come out of there. So I mean, the other thing people were questioning was, of course, we're at Sonic 2. They're clearly talking about a Sonic 3. So now we're wondering, does Sonic 3 get away from Dr. Robotnik or Eggman as being the main villain if Carrey's going to hang up the hat or what? But there you go. There you have it. You know, Jim, I love Jim. Jim's movies have always been some of my favorites when I was growing up. He's definitely become eccentric. I think he's always been eccentric, but he's publicly displayed his eccentricity, if that's even a word, in the last several years. Hell of an artist, though. I'll have to give him that. His painting, as crazy as people think he is, his paintings are actually pretty fucking good. And definitely an intriguing guy.
I think he's just sick and tired of all the Hollywood life, and
I think that too.
I think that's a major part of it. I just think he doesn't even want to be associated with the stupid of Hollywood. You know, he's made that very clear, even with the Will Smith slap.
That's true. He was like, "What the fuck was that?
What the fuck is wrong with you people?" You know what I mean? And he's just, you know, the guy's uber rich. He's got all the money in the world. He's, you know, he said it in the interview that, you know, he's done enough.
Yeah,
you know,
I am enough.
He is enough. You know, it is what it is. Like he doesn't need to do this anymore. And he's right. He doesn't need to do it. But Jim Carrey's kind of gone through this before, where he just
that's true.
He's like, fuck acting, fuck all this Hollywood shit. I'm just gonna do me and paint and be by
because
myself.
Because you can. I mean, why?
Because why not? Right? Go ahead, by all means. If he does retire, I mean, he's got a long legacy of work that is timeless. I'm not particularly a fan of his newer stuff anyway. I don't necessarily think, you know, I don't want to say he won't be missed, but like at the same time, I think his better years are past him.
Yeah.
But
what would you say if he came back and did less of a comedy thing and leaned more into his like Eternal Sunshine era? Do you think he could still got that in him?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's a seasoned actor. I mean, he can do it all. Whether it's comedy or whatever. I'm not running to the theater to go see a Jim Carrey film.
Yeah, true.
You know, maybe if there is that right script, I would. But yeah, I think.
How old is Jim now? Is it his 50s?
50s?
60s?
Yeah, I would imagine.
Well, he's not 70.
He's got to be in his late 60s.
Oh, well, now we got to find out. Where is he at?
Let me see here. Jim Carrey. Oh, he's 60. All right, so he is just 60. All right.
There you go.
I thought he's
got some gas in the tank.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I thought for sure he was older than 60. So
I mean, in fairness, he looks a little older because he lost so much weight and he was already a pretty skinny guy, and so now he just, you know, when you lose that kind of weight when you're that age, it tends to make you look even older than you are. So
yeah. So I mean, he still could act for another 10 years, really, if he really wanted to.
If he wanted to, or he could paint.
He could paint.
That's all I had listed here. I don't know if anything else has cropped up for you in the movie and TV world in the last week.
Nah, I saw I saw the Adam Project.
Oh, you did? How did you feel?
I liked it. I didn't love it as much as you did, but I also liked it more than I thought it would. So I liked this Ryan Reynolds, where we got Ryan Reynolds, but it wasn't over the top Ryan Reynolds. It wasn't like,
he's a little bit more reined in.
Yeah, he was, and that was nice. It was still definitely Ryan Reynolds doing what Ryan Reynolds does.
100%. Yeah.
But it was good. It actually had a little bit of heart to it as well, which I was not expecting. So that,
it's like a father-son movie. You're gonna have to go back and watch that shit when Kai's a little older and he knows what the fuck is going on.
Yeah. So I mean, it was good. I'd probably give it, for being a Netflix movie, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. It was good. It was the first movie I watched on my new projector and stuff. So it looked pretty. It definitely didn't look low budget, although they didn't have many
They did a lot of CGI. They had just enough sprinkled in.
Yeah. And there wasn't the movie felt very it's like they didn't have a lot of sets. Like it felt like there was like 5 different scenes.
Most of it was the house.
Yeah, a lot of house
and
scene,
the woods outside the house.
Woods. Yeah, it's just but yeah, no, it was good. We enjoyed it. And I watched that disaster movie.
I saw you tweeting about that, and then I saw it to watch. It was on Prime or whatever. Moon, something of the moon.
Moonfall. It had who was that goes to show how much of an impact the movie's made on me that I can't even fucking remember who's in the movie.
You said that it was almost so bad it was good, kind of a situation.
Bro, Moonfall. So if you guys haven't seen Moonfall yet, it's disaster porn. So it's the script is awful. The dialogue is fucking.
Is it supposed to be serious? Is it supposed to be a serious film, or is it supposed to be, or is it a comedy?
No, it's not a comedy.
They're dead serious.
It's a serious film.
Oh, okay.
Technically speaking, I think I gave it like a 2 out of 10. Like, it's just not a good movie.
That's low.
Yeah, like the acting was okay. I mean, there were some of the side characters that were just so over the top and bad. But I mean, it's a big disaster movie. You have to just disbelief like all of physics and just it's so fucking over the top.
It sounds like they took the plot from Majora's Mask and turned it into a movie.
Bro, this movie, it's so bad. Like I would never watch this film if you guys don't watch it on a big screen with a nice stereo, like a nice surround sound.
So you get something out of it?
To get something out of it, because the CGI isn't bad. There's a couple spots obviously that look fake, but it's aesthetically it's fine. Script wise, it's awful, but god damn, the movie's entertaining. It is an entertaining film for some reasons that they were going for, many not. And it's got a very, very cool sci-fi element to it.
Okay.
That I didn't, and I looked up nothing about this film. So I went in like, oh, you know what? Kayla's upstairs. I'm just going to watch this movie because I know she'll probably hate it. And I watched it and I was like, oh man, there's like a main concept. I won't go over it just in case somebody watches it. You'll probably enjoy it more if you don't see it coming. But there's a massive sci-fi element to it. And to the point where I was like, wow, this is actually a really smart plot. This is like, if this is this could be a good sci-fi film. It's like they had a good sci-fi premise and they didn't commit to just that. So they're like, let's just make a destructive movie about the moon falling into the earth. And then we'll make it about some of these characters that are trying to survive and trying to stop this from happening. But there's this really cool sci-fi element to it that I was like, okay, I'm getting on board. There's like literally one scene in the movie that I was like, am I even watching the same movie right now? I could have taken this out and put this into like Star Trek and I'd have been like, okay. But anyway, it is what it is. The one-liners are awful, but some of them are awfully awesome. And it was just a good, I don't even know how long the movie was. It went by pretty quick too. So it might've been less than 2 hours. But by the time I turned the movie off, I was like, okay, I'll never watch that again, but that was entertaining for some of the wrong reasons, but some of the right reasons. And I'm in, but the movie's awful. If that makes any sense.
So are we talking like The Room awful, or are we like what?
No, it's not that bad.
Okay.
It's not that bad.
Okay.
No.
Because the room is also so bad it's good, but it's different.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not like that type of so bad it's good.
Oh, okay.
It knows what it is, but it also kind of forgets what it is at certain points, and then it takes itself like really serious and like some, there's some really cool concepts and like some really intellectual stuff and some and then some of it is just dumb shit. Like just really dumb scientific, really bad stuff. The dude that played what's his face there? He was in Game of Thrones. He's in it.
Which one from which character from Game of Thrones?
Let me see here. Moonfall. I get his name here.
Apparently,
John Bradley. So the guy that was Jon Snow's dude, Sam.
Oh, he's in it. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
he's one of the main stars. Like he's a supporting character, but he's pretty much there for the whole film.
Okay.
His character was so over the top and cringy at times, a lot of the times, but his character also kind of works for the movie as well. Like he does a good job, but it's so it's different.
Is that the writing's fault or is that his fault?
No, it's the writing. 100%. 100%. It's the writing. The writing's bad. But he goes in there and he does what he needs to do. It's definitely a movie you'll never want to go to the theater and watch unless you like maybe if they had it in an IMAX. But it's a good at-home movie. It's on Amazon Prime. So if you guys ever want to like burn 2 hours of your life and just like have some mind-numbing sci-fi disaster porn, I think you'll at least have a good chuckle or two.
Hey, apparently it got better, according to Shady, it got better ratings than Morbius.
Oh yeah, I heard that movie's dog shit.
I have a question for you, Mr. Black. When are they gonna fucking stop casting Jared Leto?
Probably after Morbius, honestly. Probably after Morbius.
Is this finally the straw that broke the camel's back?
Dude, Jared Leto reminds me of a guy. He's talented. Don't get me wrong. The guy is talented as fuck. The guy is aging like fine wine. The guy's 50 years old. The dude looks like he is a 35-year-old still in a band, right? He's doing all these. He's a literal vampire. Problem is, the guy just comes off so pretentious and just so his own ass.
Because he is.
Because he 100% he is. The guy, he's the type of celebrity that walks in and knows he's a celebrity and wants everybody to know he's a celebrity.
And acknowledge his celebrity.
Yeah, and if you don't, then like he just won't like you. Like I feel like that's the dude. He just tries so fucking hard. Yeah, The Norseman, I'm hearing that movie is fucking incredible. That shit, every critic
is that
right
the
now is saying,
is that the Skarsgård brother that's doing that? Yeah.
Yeah, apparently that film
was pretty good.
Apparently it's like 2 hours and 20 minutes of just straight up bloody fucking revenge porn. Like they're calling it an artistic 300. It's like,
which is weird because the 300 was like very stylistic.
Yeah, but this is like Oscar 300.
Oh, okay.
Like artsy fartsy.
So not Gerard Butler, but Gerald Butler.
Not Gerard Butler. Like we're talking. This is some good ass. Willem Dafoe's in it. There's a bunch of actors in this, and this shit looks fire as fuck. And I'm hearing that it's incredible. So that's one of my most anticipated movies for this year for sure.
Yeah, Jared Leto. The one of the funniest headlines I read about Morbius this last week was that apparently, like, Jared, as many egotistical actors and actresses tend to do, they're method actors, and so he's a method actor, and he's method acting Morbius, which is a fucking meme in and of itself, as if he's like, doing Oscar related type shit. And he didn't want to break character when he went to the washroom, so he was still going to the washroom on crutches, and it would take like an hour for him to fucking use the washroom because he refused to break character. Fucking doing Morbius.
And then they convinced him, at least let us take you in a wheelchair. He said, okay.
Then they took him. All of that method acting for a dog shit movie. Like it's just so fucking perfect. Like if you're gonna be a method actor and you're gonna piss off everyone you work with for like your entire fucking career because you're just like if you play an asshole character, you're just being an asshole to fucking everyone all the time. And then you're like, oh, I'm just method acting, which if I'm gonna be honest, I think I can't remember there was an actor that said something similar to this. I can't remember who it was. off the top of my
It's an excuse
head.
to be a dick.
They're just using it as an excuse to be an asshole. That's all it is. It's not method acting. You're just using it as an out to be an asshole.
Yep.
So like you would think that if you're gonna do that, you better be cranking out. You better have like upside to that. Like if you're gonna do that, your movies need to be incredible. You need to be putting out fucking Oscar-worthy nomination performances every fucking time. And Jared Leto unabashedly, shamelessly goes out and does some fucking method acting for like the Joker in the Justice League or whatever the fuck it was, or what was it? No, Suicide Squad or Justice League? I can't remember which one it was.
Superman or whatever.
Yeah, where he like purred like a fucking cat and shit, and then he gets Morbius and he just throws that movie into the fucking ground. Fuck. So yeah, I'm wondering. I'm like, when does Jared Leto stop being cast? Maybe this is finally it.
I mean, if he's gonna do this shit, go do this shit on like, you know,
some indie shit,
artsy films. Yeah. Don't, you know, ain't nobody got time for this. I'm not a big Jared Leto fan. Never was.
Not to talk too much about the slap again, but we did see this week that Will stepped down or was removed from or something. One of the
he resigned from the Oscars, from the Academy.
Board or whatever, the Academy.
Yeah, so he can't vote or whatever. They're still gonna vote on his. You know, if he can be nominated, if he can.
Oh, that still hasn't happened yet.
That happens, I think, on the 18th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So in a couple weeks we'll know Will Smith's fate in that regard. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I'm not to talk about more than this. I'll just say this, and then we'll move on to the last bit here. That whole thing, seeing people break that thing down, has been my guilty pleasure for the last 7 days. I've been watching behavioral like analysts, whether they're psychiatrists or whatever, or professional body language interpreters and stuff that people that that the police would use for interrogation and stuff, breaking this shit down, talking. I saw, and you know what was funny is that it didn't seem to matter what discipline they came from. Every single one of them had the same conclusion. Two conclusions. One, Will is clearly hurting internally, bad, like real. He's down bad in not even 4K. He's down bad in like 46K. He's several Ks deep in the down bad. But the second one is that they all pointed at Jada.
Oh yeah, she's
as being like a narcissist, and and like Will's behavior is entirely in line with somebody who is in a relationship.
Oh, it's toxic as
with
fuck.
with a narcissist.
Oh yeah,
so,
it's been
a gong show.
It's almost like she doesn't even want to be in a relationship with him, and she's just stringing him along, and he's so gung ho on a marriage working and doing anything and whatever. The guy just seems miserable as fuck.
Oh my god!
But yeah, no, it's I feel bad for. I actually feel bad for him. Yeah, this has not been a good run for him. The production for Bad Boys, the next Bad Boys, have been halted. There was another movie that he was supposed to be doing. That's been I'm pretty sure that's been.
Were they both
for
Netflix movies?
Yeah, he had something coming with Netflix, and I think that they're looking for a different actor and director now. There's just a bunch of shit going on. It's probably just because of the bad publicity. His career isn't going to be over by any means.
No.
He's
going to go away for a little bit.
He's going to go away probably for a year.
Yeah.
And then Oprah will probably have a talk with Jada and Chris Rock and whatever, right? But anyway, it is what it is.
So unfortunate. All of that. Okay, I can't. I have to stop. I'm stopping myself.
Yeah,
like Jada's Instagram post, it was all about her. Like everything. Nothing. Like nothing at any point does she mention Will anywhere. It's just all the Jada show. It fucking kills me. So that's it for that. If that's all we got for that, that means it's time to move on to
tech support.
Patreon.com/lagtv is the place to go. Actually, can I even get that here? No, I'll have to get on this. Over here is the place to go if you want to get a couple of things. Chiefly, I totally just fucked that. Okay, that sucks. All right, whatever. If you want to get a couple of things, chiefly right now, that is getting your questions answered each and every week on a post that I put up over the podcast called Tech Sport, where we do our best to answer your questions in the time that we have. And so let me take a look at what we got this week. Patreon changing their fucking layout on their app. I freaking hate it. All right, there we go. That's a question I don't think I would have ever expected. I don't even know if you have an answer. I don't even know if I have an answer for this. Alexa asks, best sorbet flavor. How much
sorbet? I don't even know what that is.
That's what I thought.
Sorbet?
Not a sorbet. So sorbet is like a
it's like ice cream?
Not necessarily. Sort of, it is a frozen deal. It's like but it's like a fruit-based kind of a deal. Yeah. So it's
I know it. Okay, I know it. I just looked it up.
Yeah.
I've had this before. I usually have this thing at like a theme park or something, or like some sort of.
Sometimes they have sorbets there, or like they're, you know, you'll get them in as like dessert menu items sometimes, and some restaurants will have sorbets. It's just it's a really fancy Italian thing.
If I had to pick, I'd pick like anything that's berry. So like a strawberry, like a raspberry. Those are pretty delicious.
It's true. There's no dairy in this. You should be getting more acquainted with your sorbets, Mr. Black.
Maybe I'll go get some sorbet tonight.
There you go.
I got to go to the grocery store after this, so maybe I'll go and grab
some sorbet.
A sorbet. And I think I'll get a little sorbet action.
I don't know. I'm the same. When it comes to sorbets, berries are really popular for me. I don't like raspberry in a lot of things, but raspberry in a sorbet flavor I can get along with.
Mango's pretty good too. I like that. I like a good mango.
Mango,
sorbet.
peach is another. I like just calling it sorbet to fuck with people. It's like saying jalapeno, just to annoy people. But yeah, I'd say like any of the berry flavors or a peach or a
Dude,
mango.
I'm going to buy some right after this, man. I'm gonna pick up a little tub of sorbet, and I'll let you know next week on what I thought.
There you go. We'll find. Are you gonna get like a couple of flavors? You're gonna dip your toes in a couple?
I'll get a couple, and I'll tell you what my favorite was.
All right. Snackbox asks, what are y'all's top 3 most anticipated movies for the rest of this year? Movies that you could find yourself sitting in a theater on day 1. Well, Jeff just talked about one, apparently. That's
yeah. I'm gonna put that at number 2, though.
Okay.
My number 1 is definitely Avatar 2.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. So
yeah.
Avatar 2 would be number 1. The Norseman will be number 2, and then number 3, I'll probably go with I got to do a quick Google search, see what's coming out, to remind myself.
Is Doctor Strange? Doctor Strange comes out
that comes
this year.
out next month.
Dune's not until next year, isn't it? 2023?
No, that won't be out till next year. Movies coming out. Let me go with. Yeah, there's really not.
It's not a lot.
Insane amount.
I'd say Norseman, Avatar, and maybe Doctor Strange would be the ones that I'd list out of.
Thor: Love and Thunder. I mean, I really liked the last Thor movie a lot. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say this because I'm not gonna see it in a theater, but Nicolas Cage's.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Which, by the way, go to Rotten Tomatoes. Where are we at right now? Reviews, I think, started to come in on that. Where is it sitting? Where is it sitting on Rotten Tomatoes?
What is it called? This Nicholas?
The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Probably put in the unbearable, and it will probably just.
Yeah, it's there. Rotten Tomatoes. 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. There's only 26 reviews, but
that's a pretty high number for 26 reviews.
Yeah, I think this movie is going to be incredible. I think it just yeah,
How
it's
can
gonna
it
be.
not?
Yeah, exactly.
How can it?
If this movie sucked, like he should honestly just quit everything. Like he should just be done.
Bro, I can't fucking. I can't even. I can't wait. I don't know when I'm gonna get a chance to see it, but I can't fucking wait, bro. That movie is the most perfect fucking way to come out of finally paying off all the debt that he had, and then to cap it off with that film is like the most friggin' perfect. I don't even. It's incredible. Logan asks, "What completely baseless conspiracy would you like to start?"
Baseless conspiracy.
So what baseless conspiracy would you like to start?
Jeez.
Here's my baseless conspiracy.
Okay.
Bobby Kotick is actually a saint, one of the nicest people on the planet, has never done anything wrong, is a wonderful family man, and has never done anything to harm any of his employees in the last 30 years at Activision Blizzard. There's my baseless conspiracy.
Okay. Damn. I don't know. I have no idea.
Bro, I'm just waiting for the whole fucking, like, I just need to, I'm waiting for aliens at this point. Everything else is fuck, who cares? I'm just waiting for aliens.
I mean, but that's like.
Can we hurry that shit up? Just give me some aliens.
Stuff, though, like that's already a conspiracy, right? So it's like,
yeah, that's true.
I wouldn't be making that up, but, yeah. I mean, there's been some crazy that's a rabbit hole, man. There's been some crazy shit that has popped up over the last few years about UFOs and all this other shit.
when they declassified a bunch of shit, some shit
like,
got real.
Whoa. Yeah, it was like, whoa. And I went deep down in that rabbit hole when that shit came out too. And I was watching interviews and all this other shit, and like the government isn't even denying any of this. They're like, we don't know what the fuck this shit was.
Something.
It's not made by us. I don't know. So who knows, right?
That's definitely yeah. It's kind of hard. I don't have much of a conspiracy theory brain, so I don't know how I could just pull some shit out of thin air. Even as a meme, I'm sitting here trying to like fuck come up with a meme, and I can't even think of like a meme at this point.
I'll have to think about that.
Danish Devil, what's the first thing you're going to do once winter is finally over? I just, like, last couple days we had some pretty decent weather. I just want to, I'm a simple man. Like, at the moment where it's possible, I'm just going to go for like which it would be at this point, really. Just go for a fucking walk and get outside. Like, it's, when you're in Canada and you get through a winter, especially if it's a really cold one like we had, it's not like we didn't have like a shitload of snow this year, but it was just bitter fucking cold all the time. The moment that you can go outside and you know that you can wear shorts and a t-shirt and just walk, and not freeze to death, there is an indescribable amount of bliss that comes from knowing that you've got out the other side of another cold ass fucking winter. And that's it. There's not like, I'm not sitting here like dying to go to a beach. I'm not sitting here like dying to go do any kind of crazy outdoor activity or anything like that. I want to just go for a fucking walk outside and not freeze my ass off. That's it. I would like to this year, if I get the opportunity to, at least a couple times, go to a driving range, hit a couple golf balls, because I haven't been in a few years now. I'd like to do that. Em wants to learn how to golf at some point, so it gives us something to do as like a recreational thing down the road. But like that's really it. Just get me outside in the sun. I'll sit in the sun and just drink a beer on the back deck. I'll be happy. I don't need anything fancy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty similar. I think for me, first thing I'll probably do that'll really feel like spring/summer. Like I went out yesterday, I did some four-wheeling and stuff, and that was fun.
That's
But I
true.
think
Yeah.
I think for me, it's gonna feel real when I crack open the barbecue and I have my first barbecue, and it's like an afternoon, and the music's playing, and I'm just cooking steaks. I look forward to that.
Mm. You know, I saw like I'm seeing people that live in like Florida talk about how the winter's over and they're out like barbecuing and shit, and I'm like in my mind I'm thinking, Jesus, you guys literally have barbecue weather like
24/7,
24
all year
hours a
round.
day, 370, 360, 365 days a year.
Yeah.
Like, come on now.
The weather's so nice that you add 10 extra days to the year.
Like, yeah, exactly.
It's
But
376 days.
It's fucking weird because for me, I would say like when people talk about, oh well, you know, move to California or move somewhere where you just have sun year round. I feel like for me, like, you know, we barbecuing all the time, we're outside all the time. I'm one of those people where eventually that's gonna lose its fucking luster for me, right? Like, cause here we go months where we can't enjoy that. And then it's like delayed gratification versus instant gratification, where after a while, instant gratification, it's like you're chasing the dragon. You need like more and more shit to feel the same like joy out of the same activity, whether you're fucking, you know, banging rails of coke or fucking doing literally anything in your life. That's kind of how the human brain works. And so for me, if I'm like out in California and we're barbecuing 7 days a week because we can, because it's 28 degrees Celsius outside on a cold Tuesday, that's gonna lose it's not gonna be special for after a while. I'd probably get like the first like calendar year of living there because it'd be like so new, and then after that it would just be like another thing, and I wouldn't enjoy it. Whereas here, you get through the winter, you're into the spring, you take the cover off the fucking barbecue, you boot that bad boy up for the first time. It's an event. Now it's like an actual event has occurred. It's the first one of the year.
Propane, gotta clean that bitch up.
That's right.
You go overkill. You buy like
Way
nice
too much
steaks
shit.
and fucking, you know, more burgers than you could ever imagine, just in case.
That's right.
And you just go to town.
Yeah. So I think I would still like. I could live with winter being a month shorter here than it is, because sometimes we get really long winters. But otherwise, yeah, the trade-off is you enjoy your good weather when you get it versus just having it all the time.
I'll take good weather 365 days a year, man. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I really don't care. The thought of winter pisses me off, and you know, it's nice to. I will say like fall is awesome here.
Yeah,
that type of weather is my favorite. But once the mid to late November hits, December hits, and that first snow comes down, you got to go out and shovel it. You're already over it. You're like, I'm over it.
It only takes one.
It literally takes one, and it doesn't even need to be a big one. It reminds you quickly what you're in for.
You know what happens to me?
Of this shit.
First snow, it's not even the shoveling. I'll get started and I'm like, oh, this is kind of whatever. But you know when it kicks in for me? The first time you're shoveling, you put your shovel down and you scrape forward and it hitches on something. And it stops your momentum and you get and like your wrist kind of gets fucked. And you like you go again, you can't get past, and you just want to cleanly do a scoop and get out of your driveway, but you can't. You gotta work around some shit, whether it's ice or some other fuckery. When that happens, now I'm over shoveling. I don't mind shoveling if the driveway's clean underneath and I can just fucking go. But the moment I go down and I hit a fucking obstacle with my shovel, now I'm ready to kill somebody. The mood change is immediate. It is immediate.
My shit could be smoother than a fucking baby's ass, and I still hate it. There can be none of that. I listen. If my shovel does that, then I'm just like, I'll just drop the shovel. I'm calling a plow. I'm done. I am done. I hate it. I hate winter.
It's true. It is. It's not a fun
Driving
time.
in it sucks. The cold sucks. The snow sucks. The road sucks. The salt sucks. There's literally nothing good about it. If I could just get a little bit of snow right around the holiday season.
I was about to say the only upshot is I need something.
Give me, you know, give us like -2 degree weather, enough to get 1 or 2 snowfalls. Let it be heavy. Let it be small. I don't care. No, January 1st, I'm over it. End it.
It does make I can't envision celebrating Christmas and I look outside and it's 32°C.
Yeah.
I
Christmas
can't
in California. It's like, what the fuck?
I can't do it.
That would be weird. That would be
very, very strange. Question for Jeff from Volkus. Think you'll be bringing Nightmare to any car shows this year? And do you think Kai will be interested in being at the shows at some point, or is he still too young?
He's still too young. And he's scared of loud cars. If I think that'd be a place where people like to rev their cars and stuff, and I don't think he'll enjoy it all that much. But yeah, I'll show up to a few for sure. I'll be around the summer. I've made it my life's mission this year to just take more time off. So I am honestly trying not to stream more than 40 hours a week, most weeks. And it's been working out for me, because I had a chance to leave, go to Facebook, and my mind was set on that for a little while. I know Adam knew about it, and a few other people kind of knew about it. And really, what kept me here was party poker, and I wouldn't have been able to do my shows because I do shows with Party on Twitch, on the front page of Twitch. It's part of the agreement that you just, when you're an exclusive to one platform, you just can't go. We would have had to change everything, right? And I know Adam was down to move podcasts and stuff we needed to, or put it back onto YouTube or wherever. But the big reason why the Facebook thing was so attractive is the requirements was much less than what I was used to. And, I've been doing the streaming shit for over 10 years. And I'm burnt out of doing 70-hour weeks. There might be the odd week where I'll do a 50, 55-hour week. It's just if it's in the cards, like if I'm really feeling it and things are going on, I'm not going to be like, oh, my 40 hours, I'm done. Like it's nothing to do with that, but I'm just trying to be more conscious of how much time I'm taking off. And with my health the way it's been over the last 6 months and shit, like I'm getting a dietitian or nutrition or whatever.
Yeah, dietitian. So I'm going to be going through that whole process to figure out what the fuck is going on. And I just need to spend more time with my family, and I want to go out and do shit. Like I went out 4-wheeling yesterday, just said, all right, stream, that's it. I streamed 6.5 hours, wherever. Said the neighbors want to go 4-wheeling, I'm going to go do it. The Jeff of last year or in the past would be like, nah, sorry guys, I can't go. I'm working. And like, to me now, just making a few extra dollars is not changing my life. And I just want to go and enjoy it. Work hard for a decade straight. There comes a time, it's like I told myself years ago I was going to do this and I never did it. And now I'm like, okay, so to answer your question, yes, I'm most certainly going to be going to more car shows, yard sailing, and just different shit to get out the fucking house and live like a normal human being as much as I can. So yes, you'll see me there. Also, Volkus, I think I asked this before, but whatever. Favorite Nova or Says build? So what was your favorite build that we did?
Man.
I know what mine is.
You know what? I actually enjoyed the Century build.
The tripping balls was what I was going to say, which is that, yeah.
Because we had that one where they saw all of like the Colossus and different shit, and they just left the game.
Just left.
And
yep.
they had no idea it was all an illusion. But yeah, that was a fun one. I mean, we've had some really dumb ones, but the tripping balls one was definitely fun.
Yeah, I agree. That's always my answer for that. I'm almost positive is tripping balls. That one was partly because it worked. Not only that, but we did it multiple times, but in different like capacities, and I think it was it was outright successful once, and almost successful, if not successful, the other times we did it. There's just something about it. If you could set it up. I mean, they come out of the robo anyway. Like you set it up, and it looks like you're going fast Colossus, or even like an immortal kind of a rush, and then you come out, and the next time they see you, you've got like 5 of those motherfuckers, and they haven't scouted properly. You convince them. They're like fuck, and then they just that guy rage quit the fucking game.
That was fun.
It was good. Matt Salivar, what are your most desired video game sequels? Something we haven't got a sequel for yet that we need to get another sequel in, or maybe it has sequels and we just need another one.
I mean, I am looking forward to Alan Wake.
That's true. Yes,
I am.
Yeah.
And I've been calling for that for a long time, and it's actually coming. So, I would say that's probably my number one. Yeah. Outside of that, I don't. Maybe a Bloodborne 2. I really enjoyed Bloodborne. I mean, I'm playing Elden Ring now. I think I got maybe 10 hours in or whatever. Fought maybe 6 or 7 bosses.
That's a very high boss to hours played ratio in terms of like
destroying it, bro. There was one boss there like, you're fucked. I went there, beat him my first try. I'm like, okay. Game's not that hard. It's not that hard.
I have a feeling. I just have this sinking feeling that because everyone's been saying that it's definitely one of the easier Souls games, that it will be the one that I get fucked on the most.
And it's the thing is with this one is it's so open world that you can go to bosses that like you
should not be going.
You are just not at that level unless you're a god. Like you're an absolute god that just won't get touched. You can most certainly still fight them. Because it doesn't stop you from my knowledge. It's not like, oh no, you don't have this special item, you can't.
Oh no, I think you can just do it.
You just go right in. All the big bosses, they're very fucking easy because if you go on your horse and you're galloping around, you can swing and shit on your horse. Once you understand the mechanics, it's very, very easy. The harder ones are the ones that, you're standard on foot. They're flying around doing, but once you figure out if you're a seasoned Souls player, I'm not saying the game's easy by any means. And I'm only 10 hours in. So like, I might get to hour 30 and like hit a wall. You know what I'm saying? But,
thus far.
No. Yeah. So far it's been, but it's been fun. Like it's a fun game. It's a little too open worldy for my likings, just because I get overwhelmed with options, and I don't like that as a gamer because when I pass something, I have the strongest urge to want to go and do that, and then there's like 3 paths, and I'm trying to take a mental note on what path I'm choosing, but maybe I should go down this one. No, okay, I'll go back there, and then as I'm going down that path, 4 other paths open up, and I'm like, okay, this is bad. And then you can get lost, or, you're just running around in circles trying to find that one cave you haven't gone. It's that part I don't like. It's probably the weakest part of Elden Ring. But for the ones that want to get lost in a world, yeah, it's sex. It's everything that you could ever want, right? Yeah.
I did hear that I can't remember what the boss's name was, but there was a boss that apparently was accidentally nerfed at one point. And then they just patched it back to being what it was supposed to be. And now that there's a whole series of people rattled over the fact that they beat it when it was nerfed, and now they feel like they're not validated in their fucking Elden Ring run. It's so crazy how much like somebody's gaming worth is attached to beating Dark Souls games. It's fucking wild, bro. Some people like they get upset if you've not beaten a Dark Souls game, or if you say that it's not super difficult or anything, people get legitimately fucking angry. It's crazy. Radon, that was it. That was the one. Yeah,
I haven't fought him yet, so I don't know.
Yeah. Last one coming in from A Dent. If you could get your hands on a portal gun. Oh wait, I didn't answer that question. I should probably answer that question real quick. I am looking forward to Elder Scrolls 6. Even though Bethesda has a history of letting me down to a degree. Eventually their games become good. I'm playing Skyrim right now, and you know what? That motherfucker as an open world adventure game is still probably better than 95% or more of games in that genre that have come out up to this point. So, Elder Scrolls 6, and I'm still waiting for a Jet Set Radio Future remake. Or a sequel, whatever comes. I feel like that universe has definitely got more legs in it, and we're getting that like bootleg fucking spiritual successor. I can't remember the name of it right now. I think it's Reptile Games is making it. I think, but yeah, all the same, I'd say those two. And yeah, if you get your hands on a portal gun, what's the first thing you would do, Mr. Black? Where are you going with your portal gun?
What would I do with the portal gun? I would open up a portal above my son's bed, and then at bedtime, I would shoot the portal from under his feet so that he would just go to bed.
Wow. All
That's what I
right.
would do.
That would be a very effective method.
Like, no, I'm not going to bed. Really? And he's, whoa.
I would put the portal on the top of my car, okay, during the winter months, and then the other portal out in the fucking woods. And so whenever it snowed, no snow would be on my car because I don't have a garage.
Oh.
So, no snow on the car. I'll shovel the driveway, but at least I don't have to clean off my fucking car, which is arguably the worst part of fucking trying to get going in the morning. Because if you need to just quickly shovel the front of your driveway so you can get your car out, it's fine. But when you gotta get out there, you gotta run your car for 45 fucking minutes, and you're scraping the fucking ice off of the windshield and shit, fuck all that.
That's a pretty good thing. I mean, you could also do it for travel too. If there's a favorite place in the world you like to be,
drop
open
one
a
there.
portal there, and you can just go home and go wherever whenever you want, back and forth.
You know what Chris Rock would do with his portal gun? Portal to Rihanna's panties, apparently.
There you go. Hey, listen, if a portal gun was real, would you still have to live with your spouse?
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like you could have access
long distance relationships would be a hell of a lot easier.
Damn right, because you could just like portal into their house.
They're no longer long distance at that
You'd
point.
be like, all right, I'm going home. All right, or I'm going to bed. All right, see you later, and you just go back in your own space and be done.
Could solve a lot of problems that way.
Solve a whole lot of problems with that.
Or get yourself into a lot of trouble.
Depending do that too. A whole lot of trouble.
And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the end of this week's podcast. We have reached it. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoyed yourselves. We will be back next week with more of whatever this is. And once again, if you want to support whatever this is financially, you can head on over to patreon.com/LagTV. You can financially support the podcast as we keep this bad boy going. And until next week, stay safe out there. Try and get outside. Why? I don't know. Probably you haven't been out there very often, if you're like me. And we'll see you then. Peace!
Peace.